Welcome back to Midnight Movie Club and my review of Come True. So in this review I'm going to do it a little bit differently. You're going to get my non-spoiler review first and all my thoughts and impressions, as usual. Then I'm going to give my review score. Then after that I'm going to talk, a little bit of non-spoilers and give you my theory and explanation on the film, because I really do feel like you can't review this one then not explain it or discuss spoilers. And there's a few things I want to cover and discuss with you all and explain my interpretation of the film. Come True was written and directed by Anthony Scott Burns and stars Julia Sarah Stone and Landon LeBoyron. Come True follows Sarah, a young kid who's sleeping it rough on the streets after she has run away from home. In her dreams, she's being stalked by this mysterious shadow figure and she's not having the best night's sleep, probably because she is on the street, but because she isn't having these nightmares as well. But anyway, she learns of this sleep study that she can't learn anything about. She's not allowed to know why they are studying or what they're doing with their data or what they're going to do with the results. She has absolutely no idea what they can do with any of that stuff, but she signs up to it anyway because she gets a bed for the night and she will get paid. But before long, the sleep study starts going wrong and some creepy stuff begins to happen to Sarah. Right off the bat, the technical aspects of this film are brilliant. There is some great lighting, cool camera work and very nice sound design. Honestly, the lighting gives it this very dreamlike feel and it's all very practical lighting, it's motivated lighting. I really don't like it in films when there is a light source that it shouldn't be there. When you see a little bit of shadow coming from someone's nose or something like that off from the side, when there is no actual light source in that world that should be light in there and you can just tell it's a light off screen that we're not seeing. I really don't like that. There's some use of that in here for this film, but it actually fits it really well because it gives it that ethereal kind of feel to it, that dreamlike feel. But a lot of the lighting in here is very practical, and the practical lights they choose give it this sort of little diffused neon glare, this little glaze of colour that it really needs, because it does have a really washed out drab colour scheme and colour grade to it. But it is very nice, it's pleasing to look at, and the camera work itself, the cinematography, there's some very unorthodox shots in here, but they all really do work very well. I felt they really brought across Sarah's isolation from the rest of the world very well. She did seem very on her own, no one to depend on, and it was just a very lonely film, especially from her point of view. Everyone in this sleep study has a partner in their room, but even hers ends up dropping out and once again she is alone in her room. And the camera work really was quite claustrophobic in the way where it made her feel very isolated in this open world. The sound design as well is very nicely done. There's some great uses of blanking out all the outer noise and really focusing on the score and all the crackles and pops of this weird dreamscape world and all the sort of creepy things that might be scuttering about it in its darkness. I really like that, and the film really knew when to use the score to its advantage to really ramp up those more tense moments. In a film where lots of stuff is coming from dreams and dreams can't really hurt us, can they? Or well, in this case, can they? It'd be hard to really create scares from there, and there's really no scares in here. I don't think I would call it a horror, it's more like a fantasy sci-fi. But it really does play on that fear of the unknown and not knowing what's going on in this spooky landscape, and the sound design really lended itself to that, and the great score, the original music for this film really helps with that too. Some really pulse pounding synthwave in there, and it's really awesome. It gives the film this really cool retro wave 80s sort of feel, and I think it was Electric Youth who done the music for it. They made a couple of original tracks for the film, and they're beautiful. Honestly, even if you're not going to watch the film, definitely give the music a listen. I would really do recommend that. The film itself just had a really awesome concept, uncovering the truth behind this Shadow Man figure, and really brought up some really, really cool questions and concepts, but it just never explored them enough. The movie really did lose its way by the end of the second act, and it totally goes down this less interesting route than the one it was in Act 1 and 2. The film sets up such a great concept and starts taking you in the right direction, and all of a sudden it U-turns and is like nope, and it just really falls flat in its climax, and it just starts to get really boring. Honestly, the editing for the most part was brilliant in the film. I really do like how they let scenes and shots themselves breathe before cutting, and the way that they would dissolve, dream between sort of pseudo-reality in certain scenes was really cool. But in the last act, a lot of it did drag on for far too long. There was also a really strange subplot that was just not needed at all. I honestly don't know why it was in there, and it could have been completely cut and it would have brought down that runtime a little bit and made it a little bit more snappier, a little bit better. I'm not one of these people that gets really impatient with films. I don't mind a slow burn, not at all. Sometimes they're the best. But here, certain things just seemed like an absolute drag, and the pacing was a little all over the place. To say it's a slow burn is probably an understatement, but it's so interesting. It gets you so invested in that first act that you want to keep going, and you want to see more, and you want to learn more, and you want to get some answers. And then the third act really just, it slaps you in the face for wanting all of that. I do have to say though that the lead actress who plays Sarah put in a really, really good, strong performance, and she actually just really looked super tired throughout the film and proper beat down and fed up, and she was very interesting. I thought her character motivations were interesting, and I wanted to learn more why she had run away from home and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I have to give it to her and the writing of her character, because I thought that was very good, and kind of held the narrative forward and held it together in certain moments when you started to drift off and go, oh, this is getting kind of crap. And a couple of points, it does almost feel a little bit pretentious and self-indulgent, and you just think, great, come on now, we can move forward now, that sort of thing. I think I would have to compare the movie a lot to like films like Mandy and Beyond the Black Rainbow, and there's a little bit of Prince of Darkness in there, but it's nowhere near as good as any of them. Mandy, I loved that film. Prince of Darkness, classic. Beyond the Black Rainbow, hit or miss, I think this is in that same sort of category. But yeah, for me, it just really fell apart in that last act, and it pissed me off because, you do dedicate like a couple hours to a movie, you want something from it, and I just didn't get the reaction I wanted from this one, which is really, really big letdown, because there are some really cool, creepy monster effects in here, especially in one scene in particular, and I just really wanted more of that. They just kept pursuing other parts of the film that I was like, no, go this direction instead, you know what I mean? It's one of those ones where you think, oh, if I could just rewrite this myself, it could be absolutely perfect. Obviously, that's pretty selfish because I'm just wanting to see what's in my own head. And, this is a creative, artistic piece of work from someone else, and other people might like it the way the film took it. But for me, first two acts, spot on. The technical aspects of the film, brilliant. But the last act itself just kind of sucks. It has some pretty cool costume and set design, that it has that clunky sci-fi retro future feel to it and stuff like that. But there are some inconsistencies with the technology they use. But I suppose, that can kind of be looked over when it may be a dream, all that sort of stuff. But before we start touching on too many spoiler things, let me just get my rating out of the way for you all. I'm going to give Come True a 2.5 out of 5, purely for the technical aspects, the lead performance and the music. Narratively, Come True is a bit of a mess. So now with that out of the way, my non-spoiler review and my score. If you don't want to talk spoilers or hear my theories on it, then click off now. Alright, all good? Right, so my take on Come True is, it was all a dream. Well, maybe it was all a dream with some reality dotted throughout. Honestly, my interpretation of Come True is that this dreamscape world and these shadow people that we are seeing on these screens is Sarah's true reality. That is where she should be. And as she's walking through these doors, she's getting closer and closer, getting back to reality and snapping out of this 20-year coma that she has been in. At the end of the film, when that text message pops up, you're like, fuck me, it's one of those ones, isn't it? It's an ending where it's like, oh, it's all a dream, doesn't matter. But it's not quite with Come True. There's a little bit more to it. And I do believe that what the film was trying to do was say that, you know, yeah, she's been in a coma and you've seen little bits of her life, of the true reality in this film, but most of it has been a dream. And I believe this sleep study, you know, all these people are in comas, and the girl who leaves her room is actually one of the patients who's woke up and broke free from their coma. And I feel like the shadow people are the real world, and that will be like, you know, Sarah's mum and her family and friends trying to snap her back out of this coma and get her back. And the world she's in is the dream reality. That's just the way I want to see it anyway. If it was me, I think it would have been really cool if they just committed to being, oh, the dreamscape world and the shadow people are reality. We are the ones who, you know, are just created subconsciously, and this is all a dream. And we're just trying to fight that because we can't accept being told that we're not real, and that, you know, these dark things from this dark, creepy world, they are the true reality. I think that would be really cool. It's kind of like Beyond the Aquila, Beyond the Aquila Rift episode in Love, Death, Robots. If you watch that, you'll get what I mean. But yeah, I think if I was personally making the film, that's probably where I would have took it, that these monsters, these shadow people, this shadow world is the real world, and our world that we think is real is actually just all a dream, and we're the poor souls from the other world who are in comas. And all these people that we see, you know, with sleep paralysis and stuff, with these shadow people standing at the end of beds, that's all loved ones and doctors trying to get us back to the real world. I think that would be pretty cool, pretty interesting take. But I honestly just do feel like most of the film was a dream, which is pretty sad, because when you commit to a film, you really don't want that. The director himself has said that it's not all a dream, and I do believe that. But man, if it's not all a dream, like 10% of it could be real and 90% of it could be the dream. So yeah, it's pretty disappointing. I know, I hate when a film does that, and that's why I couldn't give it a better score in the review, because it really did do some cool stuff. Just sadly, narratively and, you know, climatically, it was an absolute shit show. But yeah, I feel like all this stuff that's going on in Sarah's head is just, you know, her brain's way of coping with it, and, you know, telling her what's going on with her. She's in this study when really she's probably in a hospital somewhere. They're using new technology to try and reach her. This is her brain trying to get her there. And the new technology, her phone, I think her phone is super key. If she can find her phone, you know, she can get home. And that's what the phone was telling her. And when she was walking and she was about to go through those gates, that was her about to get through and wake up from her coma. But she didn't quite make it this time. She woke up again. Well, not in reality. She woke up in the dream world again. And, you know, it restarted that cycle, but her phone's there with her, reminding her that, you know, this is all a coma. We are trying to get to you. So yeah, it raises a lot of questions, a lot to talk about, a lot to theorise and stuff like that. She says she's 18 in the film, but then the text says that, yeah, she's been in a coma for 20 years, so she probably goes into the coma when she is 18, I would imagine anyway, and like she just still thinks she's that age. That would make sense. But yeah, let me know if you've seen Come True. Let me know what your interpretation and explanation of it was in the comment section down below. I'm very interested to hear what you all have to say. If you enjoyed this review, please do leave it a like, and if you're new here, then subscribe to join the club. As always, thank you very much for watching, and good night.